guys ready? Yeah, this is the other brothers. Get it?
Well, it's not about misfortune, it's just a point in time. The baby down misfortune, believe it, you're in fine. The blues can't take you somewhere, it's not too close to brandy wine. Yeah, the whiskey gave him trouble. He went out and hit the sticks. Yeah, fished the big for the pond between the bars and bricks. Oh, you give old preacher comfort. Don't trust another bag of tricks. Oh, well, don't you know? Did I tell you? Oh, by the way, oh, by the way, oh, by the way, don't you know that I stick my neck out on the line almost every time? That's one thing. That I stick my neck out on the line almost every time. That's one thing. It's not about misfortune, it's just a point in time. It's not the same old story, believe it, you're in fine. The blues can't take you somewhere, it's not too close to brandy wine. Oh, well, don't you know? Did I tell you? Oh, by the way, oh, by the way, oh, by the Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Johnny Parrish. How about one more time for Jason Cattywampus on drums? Little girl, what can I say? One of we owes every night and day.
And we are back, and I am sitting here with the prolific Eli Clark. Eli, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Eli Clark has two bands, The Other Brothers and The Complete Disaster. Is it The Complete Disaster, or is it Mike Vallely and The Complete Disaster?
It depends on where we're at. If we're local, it seems to get a little bit shortened.
As I say, because Paul Thompson was here. He's the drummer for The Complete Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that it was Mike Vallely and The Complete Disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I see it in social media, it's just The Complete Disaster.
It's kind of funny how that's starting to work a little bit. And it depends on how long the marquee is, too. So, you know, if we got top billing, I think we get it. But,
sure, absolutely.
You know, sometimes that doesn't happen.
So tell me about how that happened for you. How that band came together.
It's kind of funny because Mike moved to town and met Wade Thompson, the bass player.
Yeah, Paul's brother.
Mm-hmm. And Wade talked to Paul, and then they decided that they were going to call me, and Paul called me when I was walking into work and, you know, turning everything on, and he's like, I think I got something really cool. Do you want to do it? And I was like, well, tell me more. And then he's like, well, it's Mike V, man. It's like, my Tony Hawk pro skater character?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll be in a band with him. And yeah, just went from there. It was really cool. It's been really fun to travel and play what I thought was just not just Mike's back catalog, but our own material. So it's been fun to kind of take that around a little bit.
And just to catch everybody up, Mike Vallely is one of the best skateboarders in the world. He's also the current lead singer of the band Black Flag.
That's right.
So he's on tour some of the time. He lives here in the city.
Yep.
And you guys are putting together an album.
Yeah, we're working on an album with a fellow by the name of Jay Lyon, who you should have on your show too.
I would love to have Jay Lyon
he's a
on
great
the show.
player. Always nice to work with an engineer that's a guitar player, so I know that my mix is going to be great.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy about that. So we're just getting the finishing touches, but they keep adding Black Flag dates, and it's a little hard to get. We need Mike's kind of direction as far as a lot of it, lyrically is his brainchild.
Front man, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very pleased at how collaborative the band is, really, and I don't think I could do it. I don't play in a cover band. If I was going to play somebody else's material, I'd just go play my own.
Right. That's a great attitude to have too. So the lineup for that band, we sort of talked about it, but we've got you on guitar. We've got Paul Thompson, who was here as a guitar player a few weeks ago. He's playing drums in the band.
Yep.
He's one of the best drummers in the city.
Oh yeah.
And then his brother Wade is the bass player.
Yeah.
And then we've got Mike Vallely in front.
Yep.
Doing the vocals.
Yeah.
And I've seen you guys a few times. I mistakenly referred, when Paul was here, I mistakenly referred to you guys as a punk rock band.
Oh yeah.
And that was because I've seen you guys twice, and both times you guys played a cover of a Black Flag song, which was very much a punk rock tune.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But it's really more of a straight ahead rock band.
Yeah, as time kind of goes, we're kind of bucking the narrative a little bit, because it's an easy sell. For one, he's in the band, so it gets asked a lot. So we should know it, and it's been fun to put our own little spin on it. We do one that goes, we do Annihilate, that goes into the Zoo by the Scorpions. So if that gives you any idea of where our headspace is at, it's turning it all on its head a little bit.
Yeah.
We're not Black Flag, we're the Complete Disaster. So this is what you're paying for.
And it sounds like the name lives up to the show.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way, but artfully done, because you guys are all, like, we're talking about three of the best musicians in the city, with sort of an icon of a bigger level in front of all three of you guys. So it's really kind of a super group, like a localized super group, right?
It kind of is, yeah.
A really cool thing to have here in the city too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Is there a website for the Complete Disaster?
It's the CompleteDisaster.com.
TheCompleteDisaster.com. You guys got TheCompleteDisaster.com.
We got lucky, man.
That's fantastic. So that's a really cool project you guys have, and I'm looking forward to the album coming out. You guys don't have a release date or anything?
No, nothing yet. We've kind of pushed our. They added dates all the way through December now, so we're kind of into next year. We've
For
got
Black
a couple.
Flag,
So the Disaster's going to go on tour probably the first of the year, and that will kind of set up the release. Not sure yet, but we've got a few songs that we're kind of thinking about adding too. So we got time.
But you have also got another project that is your baby, your original, like you're the front man, you're the guitar player, you play harmonica in it, and it's called The Other Brothers.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Tell me about The Other Brothers.
The Other Brothers was kind of born out of the dissolution of the band I was in previously, which was called Viva Montesa, which is a two-piece band, kind of rock, kind of avant-garde, alternative kind of stylings.
And you played guitar on that.
Yeah, and I would run a stereo rig that I'd have the bass side, and I have the guitar side, and I have it A-B'd with separate effects loops for each.
Okay. So it's like sort of the Charlie Hunter thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that was really fun. It had its limitations, so when the drummer, Zach, had ultimately left the band, and we had this stage persona that I was Ted, he was Gary, we were brothers. And when he left, I didn't want to replace him because it's just two people. So I hired, I got Lorenz Inez, Larry, who was a really good friend of mine. We talked about, I just want to make a jump blues band. Let's do a jump blues band. Yeah. And the time came, Larry and I got it. Larry brought Jason Cattywampus in on drums. He brought in a suitcase kit out of the trunk of his car. I didn't even have to listen to him play. You're hired, dude.
Yeah.
And it just off to the races after that.
Yeah, and that's another group of characters there. And so the current lineup, you've got Jason Cattywampus on drums, and you've got John Parrish on bass.
Right. Yeah.
And you guys have 4 albums out.
4
now.
albums. Yeah.
I mistakenly said earlier that you had 3.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the difference between Rosetta, which is the first studio album, and Born Out of Tune.
Yeah.
Which, as I was listening to them, it sort of felt like Rosetta was a little more mindful of the studio itself, whereas Born Out of Tune was more like live in the studio.
Yeah, Rosetta, I had engineered it and recorded all of it and mixed it down. And then we had Nova Labs do the mastering. That's who does our mastering.
Sure.
And that one was really fun. I love to record. It takes way longer when I'm in the hot seat, though, because I'm nitpicking it.
Yeah.
And Jason Cattywampus has a gentleman by the name of Bill Jacobs who does our studio stuff. So he's done Born Out of Tune. He did Rambler, and he's working on this next one that is yet to be titled.
And now Rambler is the one that wasn't available on Bandcamp.
That's right.
So I actually hadn't heard of this yet.
Yeah,
so this is your latest album so far, on, without the one that's coming out soon.
Yeah, our dearly departed Larry. We were on the road pre-pandemic to the point where we'd quit our jobs at that point, and it was getting to the point where it's starting to tip a little bit, and we'd go and do 3-4 day runs, come back, work in the studio, go back out, rehearse the thing at sound check, that kind of stuff. Try and work the songs in here and there. And it was kind of this love letter to the road and to the grind and all this, and Larry's fingerprints are all over that, but it wasn't done by the time he had passed. And then right after that, pandemic happened, lockdown happened. It was time for a break for us, emotionally and physically. Yeah. And we kind of came to the idea is like, no, we have to finish it. His tracks are there. That's his record,
So it's him playing bass on Rambler. And did it come out after he had passed?
Yeah. We released it at when was that? It was the end of 2020, if I remember correctly.
Now,
December 31st.
I saw you guys at the Gas Lamp recently. We actually brought our camera crew out to film some of your stuff. We're going to be showing that a little bit later here. But while I was there, I talked to John Parrish. And I'm wondering if you could tell the circumstances under which he joined the group.
John kind of became fast friends. He was always a cat that I would see around. We actually played with them. He's in Left Is West as well.
Okay.
And we played with them at 8035 in 2019. So we kind of met then, and then it, kind of would run into each other. I'd go and see him play, and vice versa. And there came a point after all of that kind of happened that I was considering just hanging it up.
Yeah.
It was the brainchild of me and Larry. So it didn't kind of feel right. I was conflicted between whether or not, well, I know what he would want. He would want it to keep going. But do I have the emotional bandwidth to keep doing it? Right. And John kind of stepped in and he's like, don't stop, And that's the easiest thing to not do it, is just to not keep going. You have to keep going. And John kind of saved the band. And I'm eternally grateful for that. And John's a great player on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is respectful of the approach that Larry took to the bass, which is just digging in, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And John's very nuanced too, so it has a nice little new character to it, with paying homage to where it started too.
Sure. So he'll be playing bass on the new album, which do you guys have a release date for that one? Is
not yet. We're really close. I don't like tracking vocals.
You're very good at it.
That's what I sound like? Yeah.
See, so because I've been listening to your catalog, aside from Rambler, which again I've just found out about. You guys should go check it out though. And that's at brothersother.com.
That's correct.
To me, you have almost like a Jim Morrison type quality about your voice.
Yeah, a little bit.
There's the stage persona is a little different, but when you're just hearing it on the track itself, it feels sort of like, the standard sort of blues rock.
Yeah.
It's almost got a grungy feel to it at
little
times.
bit, yeah.
There's a sort of an eclectic influence, but when you listen to it, it's really relatable.
Yeah, yeah. It's I like to write stuff that's very straightforward, just because there's so much room for interpretation, and there's a lot of room for me to move around and have fun, and we can kind of cut up a little bit.
Right.
And I like to let some of my influences kind of stick in there a little bit. Not super big Doors fan, but the range is there. I've won a karaoke contest.
Oh, sure.
Singing some Doors stuff.
I'll bet you could, yeah. Absolutely.
So it's always after a few drinks, it starts to sound like I'm real good.
That's when the Doors should be listened to, I think.
Yeah, I think so. That's when he played it, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, more than a few.
Yeah.
So, new album coming out. You have 2 new albums coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we've recorded a little bit from what you had at the Gas Lamp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you can tell me about this guitar and maybe do a quick rig rundown.
Sure.
You've got a Gibson ES-135 there?
Yeah. This walked into the shop about a year ago. I work at Pro Music, so I always have something on layaway. And I've always wanted a 175.
Sure.
And this walked in, and I'd never really messed with the P90s before.
Oh, P90s sound great.
Oh, yeah. And somebody told me they're actually P100s. And it was like, oh, yeah. It'd be very, it sounds good to me. I'm not going to sit here and
make
dissect
sure you don't
it.
Get that wrong,
but you can tell, it's been played a little bit.
So that's not relicking. That's just too fun.
that's some dude liking a lot of country stuff.
It's always best when it's just natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just couldn't say no. It's become. I've been looking for a guitar because I usually switch and I do a lot of different tunings. I go to open and all that kind of stuff. Play some slide here and there. So the Gibson profile is what I like.
Right.
And this has kind of become that. Add a Bigsby on it, and I think I'm good to go.
Yeah.
That's the only thing it needs.
That'd be a great fit.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your board real quick? You've
Sure.
got a Strymon Big Sky on there. You've got all sorts of neat stuff.
I did it. I bit the bullet, and kind of glad I did. I wanted something that was a nice little studio rig. It's kind of funny. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to like settings and all that. It's one setting to kind of rule it all, much like the guitar.
Which then, of course, the argument would be why the Big Sky, because it's got every ability.
$500 reverb, and I'm using the spring.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's a heck of a spring too.
It sounds really good. I'm really happy that I got it. I've been meaning to go through the board a little bit. My buddy Tan helped me do it once because he got one too. We got it through the shop. They kind of do a deal for people that work in music stores, so that kind of helped a little bit. And him and I set our pedal boards up one night after work, and I was like, well, now I got a new, I got an open spot. What do I put here? Well, I haven't had a fuzz. Well, I'll put a super fuzz clone there, and that's been kind of fun. It's kind of taken over the board a little bit.
And that's your JHS Supreme.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. You got Phase 90 on there.
Phase 90 is one of my favorite pedals. I collect those.
And I see you've got it turned all the way down.
No, on zero. It's nice.
Yeah.
And I just want, there's fun. It's funny because at least the one I have, it's a new school one, and it's got maybe a 2 dB boost on it.
Oh, okay.
Which I like.
Yeah.
And you hit it, and it just takes you up just a little bit. And a lot of this too, I have a small clone, the old school doorstop style.
Yep, that is a big pedal.
I like that they still make. Yeah, I like that they still make it, and that one gets used a lot in the Complete Disaster.
Sure.
So this is the board to kind of rule it all. I can do studio work. I do a little bit of recording on my own too, just for fun. So it's just nice to have everything that I need, and then of course. I've got the DD3 on the end here that I've had for 20 years.
Yeah, we had one of them on the show. We had the DD3T, which has a tap tempo to it.
Yeah, that's genius.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's just a fantastic pedal.
Yeah, it works. And there's better ones out there, yes, but I just like it. I just kind of have everything set at 1 o'clock and just let it rip, you know.
Just nice and even.
Mm-hmm.
What about this amplifier you've got here? A little Harmony Studio amp?
Yeah, the H306, I think. I can't remember. This is my recording amp that I use for everything. I do a lot of the tracking, a lot of the doubling of solos with it, because it's just got this nice, real punchy tone to it. And when you close mic it in the studio, it sounds massive. And you know, come to find out that Brian May did that. I think Jimmy Page did a little bit of that. And Josh Homme from the Queens of the Stone Age had a little 5-watter. And
you can really push them without having to, you know, need like a
breaks up nice,
box
clean.
or anything.
And funny enough, too, of all the amps that I own, that's the one I have the most money in. I've had Jeff Olinger go through it about 3 times. Added a jack on the back that's a speaker cancel, so I can sit in the studio with the drummer and just run it. I'm getting the sound of the preamp going into the board, so at least it sounds good in my monitors. And it allows me to be in there, you know, looking at the drummer, making sure we're on time. And just an invaluable little piece that my dad and I found. My dad does a lot of my mods too on amps and harps, and he builds amplifiers as well.
That must be nice, right?
Yeah, it kind of helps. He at least got me. He got me to overcome the fear of, you know, shocking myself a little bit. And
it's a big one, actually.
Yeah, really, and having the confidence to know that I can take it apart and put it back together. And if I can't, luckily there's some people here in town that can help.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to wrap up here, but before we go, do you guys have any shows coming up, and how can they find your music? How can our many viewers watch
We're on Spotify. We're on all the streaming services, The Complete Disaster, The Other Brothers. There's a lot of Other Brothers bands out there. A lot of sandwich shops out on the East Coast, too. So
you guys have a text thread going?
Yeah, I actually do. You can go to thecompletedisaster.com. You can go to brothersother.com. Brothers Other is our handle for everything. We're on Instagram, Facebook, all of that. But the Disaster is playing at Gaslamp on the 20th of May. And the Other Brothers, well, we have a few out-of-town gigs, but I think we might have one coming up at the Yacht Club here pretty soon. Hopefully June 2nd. But we'll see about that. You have to check our page.
Yeah, well, then you guys should be doing that. You guys should head out to thecompletedisaster.com and thebrothersother.com. Eli Clark, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you, Joe.
Would you stick around and jam out with us for a second?
Absolutely.
All right, Eli Clark, ladies and gentlemen. And we're back, and today we're going to talk about the Digitech Bad Monkey. Now, for those of you who have been paying attention to pedal culture, as I've just coined it just now, you might know about the Bad Monkey and the recent controversy involving a video starring a guy named Josh Scott. Now, I want to be clear about something. Josh Scott is the owner of a company called JHS Pedals, and he absolutely does know what he's talking about. If you get a chance to watch his videos, you absolutely should. But in this one, y'all seem to have missed the point. And I'm here to demonstrate that now. So to start off with, I have a Mexican series Fender Stratocaster, a Fender Jazzmaster, Mexican-built player series, and we're going to run it into my old Vox AC-15. There's the clean signal right there. So if I turn this on, there's your Bad Monkey overdrive. Now, I've got the level set so that it's about even, so that it doesn't offer too much boost, but otherwise, this is essentially a copy of what's called an Ibanez Tube Screamer. Now, Ibanez Tube Screamers are great pedals. They come in a few different varieties. The Digitech Bad Monkey is sort of a sanctioned clone of that pedal. It offers, instead of 3 knobs, we have 4 knobs that include a low end and a high end, but otherwise it's just level and gain. And I've got the low, high, and the gain all at 12 o'clock, meaning that they're just centered up right now. So here's what that sounds like with the neck pickup. So that's sort of how the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing would have gone. If you flip this down to the bridge pickup, we get a little bit more high end. And again, the gain is just a little bit, it's right around 12 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach down, I'm going to turn up the high end a little bit, and set that and the gain to about 3 o'clock. You can see it's just sort of got that classic overdriven sound. Nice ripping sort of high end, very piercing, and that's sort of what you're looking for. And I'm not gonna lie, I love this pedal. This is a fantastic pedal. Getting back to what Josh Scott said about the pedal, his point in making his video, which you should go watch if you can, is that it's not really about the pedal. He was using it to compare to a pedal called the Klon Centaur, which is an extremely overpriced pedal. We'll sort of leave it at that for now. There's a storied history behind that. And the Bad Monkey is something that you could have bought for around $60 to $100 used on Reverb. They are out of production. They were never particularly popular because, again, it's a copy of a Tube Screamer. And so what's happened is he put out this video comparing it to a much more expensive pedal, and his point was that it's the player who makes the pedal sound great. It's not the pedal who makes the player sound great. So of course the internet lost its mind and is now selling them for upwards of $600 a piece. I want to be clear about something. This pedal, great as it is not worth a dime more today than it was 6 months ago before that video came out. What you should do is not buy a Bad Monkey for anything over about $60 to $100 used. You should go out and buy yourself a new Ibanez Tube Screamer from literally anywhere. It'll get you the exact same thing. It's got a little bit better buffer on it too. You can really smash the front end of a Tube Screamer, turning it up, stacking pedals, a little more stackable than this one. But it is a fine pedal, the Bad Monkey. And what I'd really like to say is that you should not get wrapped up in the fervor of nostalgic pedal usage. This pedal is great, but it's a $40 to $60, maybe $100 pedal. It's not a $600 pedal. And that is our message today from the Tone Zone. Try a Bad Monkey, see if you like them. Don't pay $200, don't pay $600. Pay in the $60 to $100 range. Thank you for tuning in for the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Eli Clark for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Hey, Eli, how can they find your websites, your socials, all that?
We got thecompletedisaster.com. We got brothersother.com. You can find us on Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, Apple Music, all of that.
Awesome. Be sure to check all of that out. Check out the The Complete Disaster on May 20th.
That's right.
And be sure to check out both the bands wherever they're playing. Follow them on their socials. I also want to thank Riemann Music for giving me this amazing Player Series Jazz Masters Mexican Fender. This thing is outstanding. And of course, for supplying the Bad Monkey for our first segment. I also want to thank Aiden, our camera operator, and Jackson, our producer. And be sure to join us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department and our Instagram page, guitar_department. And you ready to play us out?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.